Good morning, everybody. It is very, very, very cold and snowy here in southwestern Virginia. I think the temperature is about 8 degrees, which is, in my opinion, not enough degrees. But I hope it's warmer where you are, or at least you're inside and warm and safe as you're working on this discussion board and the topics for this week. We're beginning week 2. We're getting into the structure and purpose and organization of state court systems, and you will be asked in this week's discussion board to describe the judicial system of your own state and to talk particularly about issues that might arise in the court systems of your state because of the geography of your state itself. For instance, if you have a very, very rural state with only small pockets of population, sometimes it's difficult to for courts to meet or for people to get to a court because it's so many miles away. Urban areas have different concerns. Just let me know. We had a student from Alaska in one of the courses that I taught, and one of the difficulties that I hadn't even thought about is that most people had to fly to the court because there were no roads. You had to find a plane that would take you, which is obviously expensive and maybe a little bit hazardous. So you'll be dealing with that as you go forward in this discussion board. This week's short paper is something that poses a problem for people in this class sometimes, and let me explain what I mean by that. It asks you to create job descriptions for state and federal judges after you have researched what it means to be a state judge or what it means to be a federal judge, what those people do in their jobs. When it asks you to create a job description, that's exactly what the assignment means. Pretend that this doesn't happen, but let's just pretend. Pretend that you are looking on monster.com. You see an advertisement for, federal judge. And that advertisement or that posting of an available job describes what a federal judge would be expected to do and the qualifications that someone applying for that job should have. Please don't restrict yourself to the formal qualifications noted in the Constitution for a federal judge. There aren't any. I mean, it could be anybody off the street could be a federal judge. In theory, in practice, that is absolutely not true. You have to be a practicing lawyer. You have to have obviously a law degree, usually from always from an accredited law school. You have to have a solid record of achievement in the legal field as an attorney and sometimes as a state judge. The position of federal judge, in other words, is not one that is without qualifications. It just doesn't have any written formal qualifications. State judges are different from state to state. Some states require a law degree. Some states don't. Some states require a certain number of years of practice in practicing law before you attain the bench. Some don't. You can research that on your own and create a job description, not for people who are actually already judges in the state or federal courts, but for your ideal candidate. That's what we're seeking in this assignment. Who would be the best person? Who are you looking for? Who would be your absolute ideal to fulfill the position of state judge or to fulfill the position of federal judge? That's what you should do, create that description. In addition, this week, you're also learning a little bit about a couple of concepts in the law, jurisdiction and venue. I have described those in my written announcement. I think I probably won't get into it too much in this video, although I may come back to it in a minute. The thing I do want to talk to you about in this video is to urge you to prepare for your Module 4 short paper, which is an interview. In a couple of weeks from now, you're going to be asked to submit the summary of an interview that you will have conducted with someone who works in the court system. So this week, you should be getting your ducks in a row for that interview. Get the consent form signed. That's actually step number 2. Step number 1 is find somebody to interview. Sometimes that's a little bit difficult. The best way to approach it is to go through somebody you might know. That might be a bailiff, it might be a court clerk, it might be an attorney, it might be a judge, it might be a court reporter or stenographer. Anyone who is regularly involved in a courtroom setting would be an appropriate person to interview for Module 4. Please, please don't wait to get this done. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to get the consent form. And even more important, it's going to take some time to get the interview conducted, to write your list of questions, to arrange the interview. It doesn't have to be in person. It can be conducted by phone or by email. In theory, I guess by text, although that would be burdensome. You can do it in whatever method you choose. As you write up your interview, please include a reference section at the end that gives credit to the person you've interviewed. Some people don't want their names released, and that's fine. Just refer to the date, time, place, and method of the interview itself. And that will let me know that you've actually conducted the interview and that it was with an appropriate person and through appropriate means. And those means can be, as I said, just about anything. Let me talk just a minute, because why not, about jurisdiction and venue. Jurisdiction is the power or authority of a court to deal with cases of a certain kind. And here we're talking about subject matter jurisdiction. As you read about the term jurisdiction, you will also see references to personal jurisdiction. We're really not dealing with personal jurisdiction in this module or even in this course, really. We're dealing with subject matter jurisdiction, which, as I said, is the authority of a particular court to deal with a particular kind of case. So, for instance, a family court would have jurisdiction to hear issues related to family law matters, say child custody, child abuse, perhaps elder abuse, spousal abuse. And remember, too, when you're talking about jurisdiction and venue, that we're talking about courts that have the authority to hear both civil and criminal cases. Now, I know a lot of you, most of you, are all of you, are more interested in the criminal side of the law than in the civil side, but the courts are not necessarily. And when we're talking about concepts like jurisdiction and venue, we're talking about not only criminal cases and criminal law, but also civil cases and civil law. Don't get them mixed up. Venue is secondary to jurisdiction. Before you determine the proper venue of a case, which venue just means location, where is a case going to be tried? In what geographic location? You have to first determine which court would have jurisdiction. So, for instance, if I kill somebody in Washington County, Virginia, which is where I live, I don't really have any ambitions to kill people, but let's just say I kill someone in Washington County, Virginia. That's a state crime. I would be tried in the circuit court for Washington County, Virginia, because that is the court that has jurisdiction over criminal trials where I live. And I would be tried in the court in Abingdon, Virginia, which is the town where the court is located, and that is the venue of that court. The court also sits in another location, but I won't go into that detail. But the location where I would be tried is the place where the crime is committed. That is the sole determining factor of venue in a criminal case. Where is the crime committed? The only time you go beyond that to determine venue is in a murder case when the body has not been found. Then you have to try to determine where the crime occurred. Or where the body has been found, but you don't know where it was killed, and so the trial will take place where the body is found. The other time that venue will be changed is, you'll get into this as we go forward in the course, is when there is difficulty in impaneling an impartial jury in the location where the trial should be held. And then perhaps a change of venue will be granted to whoever asks for it. We'll get into that as we go along. Already at the 10-minute mark on this venue, I try to keep these on this video, sorry. I'm at the 10-minute mark on this video, and I try to keep them a little under 10 minutes usually, so I'll say goodbye. But please read the written announcement and keep it in mind as you go forward with the discussion board and the short paper. See you.